Behind the Dish is sponsored by DBAT. Check out dbat.net for baseball and softball products, franchise information, and to find a location near you. And now your host, John Piper.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dish. I'm John Piper, and I'm joined with professional baseball player Jose Trevino. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
And appreciate you coming over here live and in studio. I know we've been trying to do this since June, July, and when I reached out to you, you were scheduled to come on in June, but you just happened to have your first son born.
Yes. And
you got called up to the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
All in 1 week.
Yep, all in 1 week.
What was that like?
I think it was a good experience. Probably something I'll remember for the rest of my life. I mean, my first child being born also, but the whole getting called up to the big leagues things was awesome.
Yeah, you've been with the Frisco Rough Riders for 4 years, is that correct?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
And then when you get called up, it happened to be Father's Day weekend. Jose, right at the top of the show, I want to play a little clip here and kind of get your reaction.
Yeah.
Rangers beat the Rockies on a walk-off hit today. Jose Trevino got the job done. He became a dad last Sunday. He was called up to play just one game this week, but injuries and a suspension gave him an extra shot this afternoon. It's his first Father's Day, but it's a tough one for him as well.
I knew this was going to happen.
Tell me what was going through your mind when you stepped up to the plate with the bases loaded.
My dad. I wish he was here. I knew he was going to help me too.
What does it mean for you to have your son here?
A lot. I can't wait to tell him about it. It's one of the craziest weeks of my life. It's crazy how things work in baseball and life. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Jose, I saw you here you getting a little emotional, goosebumps. Your son, Josiah, was born. He's now 3 months old. And a great tribute on Father's Day for your father. I mean, what does that mean to you and your family?
I mean, it's everything. It was almost like everything was just planned, you know, and you know, I always said, like, oh, I have goals, I have plans to do this, do that. I mean, I had no idea what was coming my way, and it was almost like, you know, just trust everything that you've done since you were a little boy and go out there and get the hit.
That was a special moment. I was talking earlier today to Texas Rangers bullpen pitcher, Coach Mike Weatherford, and he's had a chance to spend some time with you and just has nothing but great things to say about you. So you're a special ball player. You've got tremendous upside. Ironically, Behind the Dish, the name of the show, and not a position you've always played.
Yeah, no. I grew up thinking I was going to be the next Derek Jeter. But like I said, other people had other plans. But I liked playing other positions. I never knew that catching would be the one for me.
And we were talking, you grew up in the Corpus Christi, Texas area, played all sports, small town outside of Corpus.
Yeah.
You were a three-star athlete, played basketball, football, and baseball.
Yeah.
And you mentioned off the air, on the football field, you really like to hit.
Yeah, I could get a little mean out there, I guess you would say, but I like the contact. I thought it was good.
What positions did you play on the football field?
You name it.
Linebacker. Yep. You look like a linebacker, running back.
Yep.
Did you ever play quarterback?
I did. Defensive end, free safety. There was a position.
Could you play two positions at the same time?
I wish I could have hit somebody and then take the ball or intercept it or something. But
and I can tell you're a major sports fan. Right here, I don't think it's the trade deadline, but some of your fantasy teams, you're working on some fantasy moves right now as well.
Yeah, I got some big trades about to happen, but that's what happens when you're 3-0 in the league, right? They all come after you. So,
how many different fantasy teams are you playing on?
3.
Wow.
I'm in a league with my best friend and his friends. I'm in a league with my girlfriend's brother-in-law and his friends. And then I'm in a league with one of my friends and Yadier Molina and Benji Molina. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Those are two guys to aspire to play like.
Oh, yeah.
At the highest level.
Yeah.
Man, how's that matchup going to look like this week?
I played him last week. I played Yachty last week, and it did not look good for me. So.
Yeah. He got the better of you?
He did.
Yeah.
I started Tyrod Taylor for some reason. I thought he was going to do great, and then Baker Mayfield ended up coming in and still in the spotlight. So,
well, being a catcher in the Texas Rangers organization, what are some things you can learn from a Yadier Molina, a Pudge Rodriguez? I know you aspire to play like those guys. What are some things that you want to model your game after by watching those guys?
I think just how they handle themselves. I think the way they just go about their business, they do it professionally, and there's never a hiccup in their game. There's nobody ever talking about them in the news, or they made breaking news or anything like that. But just the way they handle themselves, how they handle the pitching staff, and how they can do both. And they can hit and they can catch. They can play defense. They can play offense. So.
And command a pitching staff. That's part of the job being a catcher is when things aren't going great for your pitchers, you got to get in their mindset a little bit.
Yeah, no, I've always said I'm kind of like a therapist too, because you got to know what's going on with them. You got to know the guys to pat on the back. You got to know the guys that you can get after. So I mean, there's two different types. Sometimes there's guys you just have to go out there and just say, hey, let's go. And then there's other guys you have to lay into. But you have to know the difference between those guys.
Now, as a pitcher, they come out there. They're on the mound all by themselves. Typically, they're either the hero during the game or it doesn't end well.
Yeah.
What are some things that you work with when the game's not going well for a pitcher? What are some of the things? I'm always curious when a catcher goes out to the mound and talks to his pitcher. What are some of the things you talk about out there?
I've got some. Usually, it's not like 95% of it is nothing serious at all, but the rest is kind of serious. It's about just a situation. Maybe there's a runner at first and second. No outs for in the 7th inning. Watch the bunt. If he bunts towards third base, you got to go towards that way. Third baseman has to communicate with you, and you have to go back. Just everything like that. Whether it's ball hit back to you, you got no outs, turn the double play.
Coach on the field, you remind them
exactly
defensive positions, kind of let them catch their breath.
Oh yeah, you're doing all that. All at the same time. Hopefully they're listening to you. But most of the time, when I tell them that stuff, they're not. But if I tell them something funny, kind of make them laugh a little bit, and then to get their attention, then you could tell them. But I mean, there's things that I've said on at the mound that I wouldn't say on the radio or to anybody.
Yeah, hey, that's good stuff. We have a lot of listeners, Jose, that are young players, high school players that are aspiring to get to the college game and then on to the pro game. So there's a lot of takeaways there for you listeners. Now, being in the Rangers organization, you spent a little time around Pudge Rodriguez. Has he been able to offer some ideas, some techniques that have been helpful to you?
Yeah, no, he's helped me a little bit. I think in Instructs of 2014 or 15. I'm not sure. I can't really remember right now, but I want to say, it was the year after I was drafted. I was transitioning into catching, and he was there at Instructs with us. So he kind of helped with some movements and helped me clear up some things. So
now you were talking playing multiple sports in Corpus Christi at high school, John Paul II high school. When was it that you knew that baseball was probably going to be your future?
I think I was either a freshman or a sophomore, and my high school coach, I thought I was going to a dance. They call them quinceañeras. I thought I was going to a quinceañera that day, and I was going to go stay at my friend's house, and ended up my mom and dad came up to me and said, hey, you're not going to that party. You're going to go stay at your high school coach's house. And at that time, I was like, no way, I'm not.
You probably weren't real happy about that.
I was not. I was like, no way, I'm doing that. And then, sure enough, I went to his house, and his son played minor league baseball for a while, too. His name was David Castillo. He played in the A's organization. And they sat me down, and they basically said, like, hey, man, look, we see something in you that we haven't seen in a lot of people. And it's up to you whether you're going to go the right way or the wrong way. And sure enough, he said, tomorrow morning we're going running at 5 o'clock. He said, we're going to set an alarm. I'm taking your phone at 9. I was like, what? Taking my cell phone? You're not my mom or my dad.
And this was like on a Friday night?
Yes, Friday night. And Saturday morning we were waking up at 5 to go running to the field. So I remind you that the field from his house is probably like 2.5 miles. And he's like, you're by you telling me yes or no, you're going to wake up or you're going to stay asleep. So, I mean, set the alarm for me. It was like one of those, the old school clocks that you press the top on to shut it off, and the alarm went off at 5, but I was up at 4:30. For some reason, I was up at 4:30 and I was sitting on my bed ready to go.
I actually still have one of those. I don't use it every day, but it's a Sony Dream Machine. It must be 30 plus years old and still works.
It was like brown, the red letter. Oh man, it was loud. And I was up at 4:30. I don't know, sitting on my bed, and I had my shoes on and everything ready. And I mean, I heard the knock, like everything. I heard pop, pop, and I was like, and he's like, "You up?" And I said, "Yep." And I just got up. I walked out the door. It reminds you, I didn't like running at the time. So, I mean, I walked out the door, and he was like, "You ready?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "All right, let's go." And he took off running. He runs every day. He's a healthy, very healthy old man. Very, very healthy. And he was like, "Don't let me beat you." So I was like, "All right." So there we go. From then on, I mean, that whole day was kind of just like a turning point in my life.
Well, obviously, that decision has paid off. But I do want to ask you, at that time, you say you were about 16 years old?
Yeah, 16, 15, 16.
For our listeners, that are 16, 17 in Texas or around the country, there are decisions that are going to be made.
Oh, yeah.
Like you mentioned, you go down fork in the road, you take one path or the other.
Yeah.
At that time, were you running with a crowd that could have ended up a bad situation?
No. I never had friends like that. Never was in a crowd like that. I mean, everybody has those kind of friends, but I never ran with those kind of guys. But I think he always told us, I don't want y'all to be the guys that come back to me in 10 years and say, "Man, I wish I would have listened to you." I want you to be the guy that comes back and says, "Man, thank you for letting me listen to you. Thank you."
I do talk to a lot of coaches, Jose, and I do hear that from some, that they'll get a text or an email 10 years after and said, "Coach, I wish I would have listened to you."
Yeah.
So for you listeners out there, listen to your coaches, listen to your parents.
Yeah. Yep.
They usually have the right decisions for you. You just don't know it at the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll definitely pay off whenever you're older and you finally realize it, like, wow, they were really doing this for me. So,
well, let's talk about your high school days. That coach that impacted you, Coach Castillo.
Coach Castillo, yep.
At John Paul II, you set a Texas high school record that still stands today, 25 home runs in a season.
Yeah, 25 home runs.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a good year. It was a really good year.
You also win a state title, not once but twice.
Yeah,
while you're there.
Back to back. Yeah.
Back to back state titles.
Yeah.
Was that your junior senior year?
Yep. We should have won my sophomore year too, but we just didn't pull through.
And you had some phenomenal athletes. Are there some players on those teams that went on to play Division I baseball or playing professionally now?
None. They were just really good players, and they were really good athletes, and they just, for some reason, they just wanted to win, and they looked at me to, I guess, be the leader of that, and I tried my best, and it looks like it paid off for all of us.
And Coach Castillo, obviously, he impacted you in a profound way. Do you still stay in touch with him?
He just called me like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
On the way up here.
That's awesome.
He just checking on me.
You talk like at least once a week or so?
Probably more, a little bit more, just to say what's up and how's it going and check in on how he's doing, how I'm doing, how the baby's doing.
That is what's special about high school coaching relationships. I mentioned I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, and until my coach passed away, he was about 80. I would be driving to Dallas from San Antonio. We'd have sometimes 40, 50-minute conversations.
Those are the best, too.
About life.
Those are the best.
We didn't talk about high school sports at all. It was just about what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
I would ask him for advice on things, and it's phenomenal, those relationships.
No, I mean, he calls me and he'll tell me, "Hey, you need anything, call me." And I'm like, I know I can count on him for anything. So
no, this is pretty special. You don't see this often, especially you're still a very young man, but the school retired your jersey, number 21.
Yeah.
That's pretty special. Was there a ceremony you went back for?
There was, but I wasn't there for it. I was there to talk to the baseball team at a banquet. And so the high school coach that's there now, he was the assistant coach when Coach Castillo was there. His name's Jose Trevino. He actually played professional baseball too. He played for the Padres. He was a side armor, he threw a good slider, and he'd come back in the offseason and pitch to us in the offseason. And he was probably a big part of when my teams would come out and look at me, because they were he just got out of the game. And he would come and he'd be like, "Hey, man, you have something." And I'm just like, "I know, Jay, I know." And I still talk to him till this day. So, I mean, every time I get a chance, I always give back to them, talk to the kids. But he asked me, he was like, "Hey, we're gonna retire your jersey. Like, what do you think?" And I was like, "I can't believe it." Like I